Hey guys, my name is Michael humanlink Puthawala,
And I'm Matt gensulitor East.
and we're going to be casting a game between University of Oregon and Minnesota Twin Cities. Up in the top left, we have the orange Terran, will be the letter N, playing for University of Minnesota Twin Cities. And in the bottom right, we have Wumpus, with an awesome name, playing as the red Protoss. And so, on this map, Jungle Basin, I'm not too familiar with this map, although Matt could probably tell you about a couple cheeses you could do on this map that are actually surprisingly effective. But you know, obviously this map is really conducive to more macro play because the naturals are so easy to hold. You know, all you have to do is throw up some kind of defense on the choke and on the ramp, and then you'll be good.
The trouble is, once you do get your expansion, it's very difficult to secure a third, especially if you're not Terran. If you're Terran, this little middle one up here is convenient if you want to like pop a planetary fortress down right there, because it's right along your line of attack. But otherwise, it's very difficult to secure a third, because really there aren't that many bases, and some of them are just out of the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This map is definitely very hard for a third. It's odd. It's almost it's both a macro map and it's not a real macro map, because you usually see macroing up to 2 bases, but you really don't see multi-place bay on this map ever. And so, you know, you almost always get a macro game, but not a terribly long macro game. And it looks like Wumpus might take out an SCV, but he's actually the letter N pulling that SCV away in time, and Wumpus almost losing his probe. So interesting, just a worker harass going over there, you know. I'm not sure he needs to repair that SCV if it's going to be in the mineral line and the probe's already retreated, but not a bad call by the letter N anyways. Anyway, so I think we'll probably see an early-ish expand for both players. What will really be interesting is what we see after the, you know, with the build orders. We'll be saying, you know, kind of perhaps Banshee play from a Terran player or DT, something goofy is definitely a possibility on this map, because it can be very effective. Because if you know that your opponent's expanding early, it can be very effective to even Spotty put almost going down there. But fortunately, letter N getting another SCV on there to repair it before anything too bad happens. So we'll see if either player decides to try and take advantage of the very highly likely early expand by the other. And it looks like Wumpus actually putting up that gas early, but not throwing probes in it as quickly as he could have. So that's a little sloppy by Wumpus rather. But we'll see if how he follows up.
Right now, Wumpus, I see that he has a lot of money, and he could definitely have afforded a cyber core a little bit ago, but he didn't do that. Also, he has 97 energy saved up for Chrono Boost. That actually isn't a bad thing, because he just burnt it before it got to 100. If it got to 100, that means there's a period of time where it's not generating new energy, which is the worst possible scenario. But evidently, he's just saving it up very intentionally for warp gate tech or something, likely warp gate tech, which is not a bad decision. And in the meantime, he's just going to use it on probes. Personally, if he's going to use it on probes, I'd prefer he use it on probes earlier rather than later. Like, if he's going to wait till it's at 98 energy before putting his first chrono boost on building probes, or do it right when it gets to 25, I think it makes more sense to do it at 25, because that would mean you'd have one probe come out earlier in the game, which means he'd be ahead in workers earlier in the game, which means it'll be that one extra worker will accumulate more resources over a period of time. As we see in the production tab, we have a Twilight Council going up for our Protoss friend, and interestingly enough, this is very turtleish looking from the letter N. He's blocking off his second ramp, despite the destructible rocks here with the Marine looking over them. He's got a bunker at his main ramp. He's putting up a bunker at the rocks, so he is having a very defensive building geometry within his main base, which is probably not a bad thing considering that he is fast expanding. And oddly enough, he is expanding much faster than our Protoss player, who is curiously getting a Templar Archives. Now, on one base, we often do not see Templar Archives because it's very expensive to get Storm, to get the High Templar out there. So I'm not sure if he's just really good at High Templar micro, and that's the reason he's getting one. I really can't think of a reason to get one on one base, unless that's just his specialty. We see a third gas going down for the letter N, and he has his first 2 gas saturated, and he's using them to make a factory. If we look at the production tab that we just saw, we have Storm going down finally, and also Charge, interestingly enough. That could be a very good combination. A lot of people say that Zealots and High Templar Storms work very well together against our ground armies, which they do, but one problem that I see with that is generally when you're storming your opponent's armies, using a melee unit like Zealots means that the Zealots are also going to be absorbing the damage. And granted, Zealots have a lot more health than Terran Bio in general, but it's still something to think about. If you're going to be storming them, you're also going to be absorbing damage on your melee units.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. There's a big trade-off when you go for melee units to kind of surround and wrap those Marines and Marauders potentially in, and then, of course, the trade-off that happens when your Storm, of course, damages your Zealots, which is, you know, suboptimal. And really interesting play by Wumpus, actually. So he expanded off of almost no units. I don't like this decision. I feel like if he was going to expand, he should have done it much earlier, because he has almost no units, so he's going to die to a push. And, you know, he's counting that his opponent won't push him early. And if he's counting on that anyways, he might as well expand early too. I mean, I guess he just really, really wants Templar super, super, super fast. Maybe trying to get a lot of energy so he can storm a lot later. But I'm not really too fond of that. He's got his storm up now, but you know, he's only got 1 storm and 1 Templar, and not really enough gas to make too many other Templars. Looks like he'd pump out 1 or 2 more, but even then, that won't be you know, terribly effective until he gets a couple more bases up and much more storm. And we take a look at the worker tab actually. We saw Wumpus was at 31 workers, while the TheLetterN is at 41. So the TheLetterN has a huge, huge increase. He's got way more minerals too, so pulling almost twice as much income as Wumpus. So that's definitely not good as Wumpus, and of course twice as much gas too, which is also very, very important. I feel like it's less important for bio. I feel like, you know, minerals are very, very important. But oh, it looks like, I'll take a look at the production tab. We see Banshees coming out for the TheLetterN. So really, really interesting. And Thor. And Thors are going to be pretty good against Storm. You know, obviously Thors don't take too much damage, and you know, they'll absorb that Storm, and they'll tank some damage for the Zealots before they can do damage. And of course the Banshees will be decent. You know, they can get fed back. So we do see Cloak coming up for the Banshees. So we'll see actually no Observer coming out for Wumpus. So he could be in trouble if he doesn't get some really excellent feedbacks or a Robotics Bay up for some Observers soon. But really interesting play. I think one thing to comment on the TheLetterN is that with at his ramp behind his natural, I think he was preparing for kind of an eventual rock bust. He knew the rock bust wasn't going to come soon, but he just knew that it would have to come eventually, and so he was just preparing for what could come. It looks like on the bottom left we have 2 Banshees coming up on Wumpus's natural, and they're going to hit the rocks first. You know, just practice. You know, make sure your crosshairs are working. It looks like they're going to take out a couple probes. We'll see how many probes they take out. I would have liked if the TheLetterN had waited just maybe, you know, 15 seconds longer to get his cloak, because as you see, he doesn't have his cloak up quite yet. So I would have preferred that to be just a little bit later. And actually we see Wumpus getting up his robotics facility. So Wumpus is going to most likely, there's going to be a brief timing when Wumpus does not have observers up. You know, of course he's going to want to chrono boost the observers out, but where the TheLetterN will have cloak and Wumpus will not have anything to detect with. So we'll see if he takes advantage of that. It looks like he's not right now, and if he wants to make these Banshees worthwhile, he's going to need to take out a lot of probes during that crucial time period. Actually, Wumpus is not making an observer, and the TheLetterN is not pushing with his cloaked Banshee, so it's kind of a moot point, I guess. So that's kind of, you know, interesting play by both players, and we'll see what how, you know, an interesting thing is that also, besides feedback, Wumpus can't hurt these guys, these Banshees. They're pretty much indestructible except feedback and storm. So what do you think we're going to see here, Matt?
I'm really disappointed that he didn't walk in the moment he got cloak up, because he didn't know what type of counters were available. We see some really cool storms going off right now. I really like them, but the Banshees, they're starting to split up, not as much as they should be against the storms, but whoops, there go the feedbacks, and 2 Banshees went down, and the 3rd one went down. That was very neat, the High Templar. I think that's a very interesting unit to be dealing with the Banshees. But really, if we look at the army tab, it's so one-sided at this point, because the letter N got up his expansion so quickly. He has a Ghost Academy that'll EMP the High Templar that he knows about. Look at the supply count. He more than doubles our friend Wumpus. And that's just horrible. We see he made some macro mistakes. He has a little band-aid here patching up his supply depot, just saying, oh, well, I made a little bit of a mistake. I forgot to build a supply depot, but you know, my command center, it was able to make a band-aid out of the same materials. They could have made a mule, but I mean, it's okay. I'll just push out. Hopefully he won't notice that I'm behind by being supply blocked. He's looking like he's going to get a third, which is very easy for Terran to secure, as I mentioned before, if he plops down a little planetary fortress there. And it looks like he's going to get a little bit more aggressive and walk in with his bio, check out if the Protoss player is getting a third. And meanwhile, as he walks over to the Protoss' third expansion, he's going to come in with 5 Banshees. Look around at the natural. Even though it's not saturated that well, what probes are there? 3 of them are going down. There's quite a few more that got away, but these Banshees, they're targeting the Nexus now. It's down. Almost all its shields are gone, so it's half down. And, jeez, ooh. 1 Banshee died. I see a huge problem here. Ooh, he's cloaking and uncloaking until his energy went away.
Yeah, that's
which was
really
interesting,
nice.
Because that prevents the High Templar from being able to feed back. That was very interesting strategically. Because if he doesn't have the energy, the High Templar can't do a lot of damage with feedback. Oddly enough, if we look at the units tab, where are these observers? I don't even know. There's an observer right there. So we could have seen those if he did decide to just stay cloaked. But meanwhile, the letter N, he's getting very aggressive. He's just taking over the map. He's taking a 4th base. Whereas Wumpus, he's on 2 bases. He's not looking too good. Do you think Wumpus has a future in this game, Mike?
I think not. I mean, he's got a couple Templars, but a lot of them are pretty low. Well, no, they're actually all pretty decently charged with energy. So maybe if we see a couple of Magic Storms and maybe some feedback on possible Banshees, he could stay in this game, because Marines are extremely vulnerable. But the Ghost could get off some key EMPs and they kill all the energy on the Templar is gone. So amazing storms by the letter N, and that is going to completely end this game.
All 6 of them.
Yeah, all 6 High Templar just completely devoid of energy. And I mean, really, the letter N could win this now with just Banshees. He doesn't need his army, because Wumpus has no reaction to these Banshees. And of course, you know, the Marines and Thors and Ghosts are going to help, but no, the letter N definitely has this game. He's going to take a bit of damage on the Marines. A little sloppy play there, letting all those Marines go ahead and die to the Zealots. So
I wish the Thors were tanking the damage while the Marines sat
Thors
back
definitely,
and dealt some.
But at this point, it really doesn't matter. I mean, the letter N has complete, you know, map control, base control, twice as many bases, and I think that victory really came. Both players did some sloppy play. You know, I would have liked to see maybe Wumpus throw down an Archon, because he wasted so much energy on those Banshees. I would like to see letter N split up those Banshees to actually, you know, make them more effective. But you know, in the end, what mattered was that early expand that ended up being extremely decisive. So it looks like we're gonna have a victory here for Minnesota Twin Cities and the letter N. And it looks like Wumpus is just waiting to GG out, because he has no answer to this attack.
Nope. He's looking pretty sad here. He's
actually not sure why.
His base is mining.
Not sure why he's not GGing. You should really GG.
It was time to GG, I'd say.
Oh, Templar slam.
No. I'd say it was time for him to GG right when his High Templars all got EMP'd. He should have said, "Oh, no storms. GG. I'm done."
Yep.
But it looks like he's just gonna wait it out.
And triple
there
G.
It is. GG. Interesting. Very interesting game. Hopefully you guys will all check us out at cstarleague.com after this game. It's a very nice new website we have. And just look around. We got a bunch of awesome features on there. Just stuff to check out. And hopefully you enjoyed this. Alright, see you later.